Hello and welcome to Monticello Minute Unscripted. Our guest today is Miss Laura Sims. Welcome to the show, Laura.
Thanks, Hugh.
Laura's here today because she is a professor out at the University of Arkansas at Monticello in forestry health. Is that correct?
Yeah, forest health.
Now, this is going to be a lot of forestry coming at you here, which obviously is a huge part of Southeast Arkansas. Most people understand that the UAM is not just a great university overall, but it is the premier forestry school in the state of Arkansas. It represents forestry in so many different areas. And there's a lot of exciting things going on out there to do with forestry, including new facilities, new buildings, and an upcoming competition that you're not going to want to miss. But we're going to start with Laura. Tell us a little bit about her journey. Tell us a little bit about what brought you to UAM to be part of in the forest health.
Well, I started finding my interest in forestry when I was at North Carolina State University doing my undergraduate degree. I was doing my degree in botany and realized that I really enjoyed studying trees and the things that cause problems with trees. So I was actually working on potatoes and soybeans and trees, and the trees caught me. That was like what I wanted to do. So when it was time to get a job, I had to figure out, do I want to get a job or do I want to go to graduate school? And my advisor said, well, you're really smart. You should think about going to graduate school, which I thought was a compliment.
Of course it is.
I felt like I had to work really hard.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with hard work. That doesn't mean you're not smart. It just means you've got a good work ethic.
Yeah, so I applied to schools with forestry programs. And I applied to Oregon State University, and I got in there in a forest health lab there. And so that's how I really got into it. When I finished up there, I was almost done, and I was presenting my research in Canada. And I met a professor from UC Berkeley, and he said if I got done by the end of that spring, that I could come work in his lab as a researcher.
Wow. Okay.
So then I went and worked with Matteo Garbolotto for 4 years at UC Berkeley. And then I asked him, well, when can I be a professor here? And he said, you need to do research for 4 more years. And I said, I
got to do something else. So
I'm ready to be a professor. So I started looking for positions.
And this whole time you've been out on the West Coast, but your next journey took you far away from the West Coast, didn't it?
It did, yeah. So I was kind of missing the South, like a lot. I miss I didn't find anything at NC State. There wasn't anything at the time to go back there. But there was a great position open, just what I was looking for, at Louisiana Tech University.
Of course, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I interviewed with Josh Adams, who actually used to be at UAM.
Okay.
And Dr. Gordon Hawley, who
has
been at Oklahoma State University and SFA, and they were just really great and supportive. And I thought, okay, well, I'll give it a try. I don't think I'll stay more than a year.
Mm-hmm.
But I ended up loving it and finding a family there and staying there for 6 years.
Wow, okay. Finding a family. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so, I mean, they're just really supportive.
Okay.
And, taught me the ropes of being a professor.
Everybody needs that.
And,
well, how'd you end up in Arkansas then?
Well, so while I was at Louisiana Tech University, I started a research project with Dr. Blazier.
Of course, yeah.
And this was when he was still at LSU.
Mm-hmm.
And so we became friends and got to know each other and, worked together a little bit. And when he posted the position for the Director of Forest Health and professor position, I asked if he was looking outside. And I knew that my boss at Louisiana Tech University had worked at UAM previously. And so, I just communicated with them that I was interested in the position and applied and got it.
And for a lot of people that may not understand being a professor, especially in forest health or in the forestry department, it's not just, it's not all standing up in front of a classroom, in front of a chalkboard telling people what to do. There's a lot of research that's still involved. That's your entire life is research because forests are so important. I mean, they are a central part of an ecosystem. And they do so much that a lot of people don't understand. And right out here at our university, we're tapping into all that, and y'all are researching all that, or y'all are studying all that, so that there's a better understanding about forest health, which you told me before we started filming has so much to do with forest management. So many things you have to do and do properly in order to get the most production out of the forest from several standpoints, I'm sure. Now, there's big news out there. If you've been out to the campus right now, the first thing you see when you pull up to the campus is this beautiful new building that's going up on the left. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so that's the new University of Arkansas Monticello Forest Health Research Center that's going in. It has a research component with 3 labs, so 3 research labs, 4 classrooms, so 2 biology and 2 chemistry, to kind of replace the old kind of rundown science classes. So all of the students coming through, whether you're in forestry or not, if you have some sort of science class that requires biology.
I didn't realize that. So the science building there's going to be some overflow where students are going to be coming into this new building. That's awesome. That's awesome.
And I love it because then they'll get to see and kind of understand why forestry is so important to the region as well.
Exactly.
You know, we're going to have a display of the history of forestry for the region, for Arkansas in there.
When's the timetable that this building is going to be complete?
Well, we're actually moving in next month. The actual completion date when the research will be set up and ready to go, because we have to set up all of our equipment in there, and then when the classrooms are ready, and the Spivey Conference Center is for next fall. So
well, that's going to be an incredible addition, and you're the person to talk about it, because if I understand correctly, you're going to be the director of that building. So that's pretty cool to have you in here talking about it, and we're all excited about it. And I know our community is very excited about it, because it gives so much more access for our students, access for our researchers, for professors to learn even more. Most people understand that forestry, logging, and forestry management drives the economy in this area. But there's so much more that forestry does that people probably don't think about, from everything from the air you breathe to just anything that goes along with everyday life. One more thing I want to talk to you about before I let you go and bring in the next guest is what's happening coming up. I believe it's the 19th, 20th, and 21st?
That's correct, yeah.
There's going to be a major competition happening right here in Monticello, directly associated with UAM Forestry. It's the Conclave.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about this event that's coming up?
Yeah, it's the 67th annual Association of Southern Forestry Clubs Conclave that we're hosting. There's going to be 14 total universities, so 13 other universities that will be coming and bringing their forestry clubs, and we'll be competing in physical and technical events. So things like axe throw, archery, crosscut saw for men, women, Jack and Jill, bow saw, men and women's, log roll.
Wow. And these teams that are coming, they're from all over the country?
They're all from all over the South.
All over the South,
Yeah, South and Southeast. So.
Well, I know I think it's been 16 years since UAM hosted last, and I was at those games, and it was a extraordinary time, great competition. And what people may not realize, because I didn't fully realize until I went to that competition, is that our school, UAM, is not just representing UAM. We represent the entire state of Arkansas. Our competitors, our forestry club, represents Arkansas, the entire state.
That's right.
And we're going against other teams that are representing their states. Georgia, several other schools that are representing. It's a pretty big deal. And like I said, it only happens once every 15 or 16 years that you get to host. So everybody needs to definitely put that on their calendars and make plans to attend. The location, I believe, is just down south of the college at the
Diesel Academy, so 2427 US Highway 425 in Monticello.
the UAM Diesel Academy, just south of town on 425 South.
Most of the events that are good for watching are on Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's going to be my next question. If somebody wanted to research this, where can they find that information, Laura? Is there a website? Is there a Facebook page? Where would they go?
UAMtimbersports.com.
UAMtimbersports.com. Check it out. It's free to the public, is it not?
Yeah, the public can come in. I mean, there is some limited parking, but I don't think that they'll have probably a problem. The state foresters are going to be there helping to allow people to go in and find parking and all that.
Perfect. But there's no cost at the gate. You can go and enjoy all these sports, enjoy all these competitions, cheer on our UAM Forestry Club team, and have a great time. Speaking of, we're going to be right back, and we're going to bring in some of these competitors to talk about what they're going to be competing in, talk about their forestry journey. So you definitely don't want to go away. Stick around with us and check that out. All right, we're back with our Forestry Club members. They're going to be participating in the conclave coming up, and we're going to meet them and hear a little bit about their story and what they're going to be competing in. First up, we have Marce.
Hello.
Welcome to the show, Marce.
It's nice to be here.
Can you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself first?
Okay, so I am Marce Aranda. I'm from Hope, Arkansas, and I came to Monticello because, well, I just wanted to get away from home and just be a little bit more independent. And I heard that they had a really good forestry program, so I just wanted
top in the state, for sure.
So I just wanted to check it out, see how it went, and I'm actually a natural resource major with a focus in environmental science, which is a lot different than forestry. Like with forestry, it's more on the timber, but
Yes, of course, yeah.
but mine is more kind of in the middle of like wildlife and forestry. So
Gotcha. You know, I've had friends that had majored in wildlife.
Right.
And, you know, there's a lot of there's so much to do, and that's what, you know, a lot of people may not realize about University of Arkansas at Monticello. It's a very diverse campus. There's a lot of different options. And the forestry program in particular, it's not just studying trees, although studying trees is a big part of that. There's also a lot of other areas of study that students can enjoy. And I know you came, like most folks come to college, to have a different experience. And tell me, did the facilities here impress you? Did the staff impress you?
the staff impressed me a lot. Everybody was really helpful. Like whenever I first came here, very nice, very like, if you need anything, my door's always open type of deal. So very welcoming. And then, yeah, my freshman year is when I first like joined the forestry club. So.
And you're a senior this year.
I am a senior.
All
so I've
right.
been here for the full ride.
So you came to college for a new experience, and obviously you were impressed with the facilities, you were impressed with the faculty.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about your experience there.
Everybody was really welcoming. If I needed anything, then someone's door was always open. And yeah, it was just a lot of kind faces, a lot of kind smiles, and just if I needed help, there was always somebody there.
And of course, you're a senior now.
I am a senior.
Yeah, and you've been in forestry club since you were a
my
freshman.
freshman year. Yeah, since my freshman year.
But
it was amazing.
I know you've met a lot of great people along the way.
Yes.
That's one thing about being part of a club, and you get to meet so many different people, and you get to spend some close time with folks and make friends that you're going to have the rest of your life.
Yes.
Tell us about your competition. What are you going to be competing in for the conclave?
I'll be competing in crosscut. I'll be doing women's crosscut and Jack and Jill crosscut, and I'll also be doing women's bow saw.
Okay.
And I think I have one technical, which is forest health.
So the sawing part, you're going to be sawing logs.
Oh, yes.
And the Jack and Jill would mean a man and a woman sawing together.
Yes.
And tell me about this technical. What is that exactly?
It's technical. It's basically just like they'll have specimens of diseases in wood, or like bugs that cause like damage in wood.
Exactly.
And so they will just have them out there, and they will be numbered, and I will just basically have to name them like what they are.
Well, that's important.
Yeah, it is important.
You ask anybody in the timber business, you got bugs are a huge concern.
Yes.
So we're going to move on to Tate.
Okay.
Now, Tate, tell us a little bit about your story.
My name is Tate Tanner. I'm from Maumelle, Arkansas. I have I graduated college once before, and I went to the Air Force for 3 years.
Okay.
And then I got out of the Air Force, wasn't sure what I wanted to do. My first degree, I really didn't really care to use. So I came to UAM because I heard about the forestry department. I heard how awesome it was, and I really enjoyed it.
And you're a senior as well.
Yes, I'm a senior, and I'm the president of the Forestry Club.
President of the Forestry Club. Well,
Yes,
that's an honor and a responsibility, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the activity you're going to be competing in.
So I'm doing a few. My technical is timber estimation. I'm doing overhand chop, chain throw, burling. Jack and Jill crosscut with Marce.
Okay, y'all are going to be a team. Okay.
Yes.
Oh yeah, yep. I think that's all of them.
Well, we talked a little bit about Marcy's major. It's going to be a little different from yours.
Yeah.
Now, your major is more focused on trees, correct?
Yes, focused on just taking care of the forest and make sure it's as healthy as it can be.
So forest health, kind of like Laura was talking about when she was on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
There's different parts of forestry that you can get into, silviculture, management. There's a whole bunch of sections you can get into, but yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And looking forward to seeing you compete. And congratulations on being a senior. I know you got a lot of great stuff ahead of you.
Oh yeah, looking forward to it. Looking forward to graduate.
Hey, I've no doubt you will.
Yeah.
Our third guest is not a senior. You're just a junior.
Yes, sir.
But you've still been with the program quite a while. Now this is David. David, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm from Little Rock, Arkansas. I'm 26. I didn't start college till I was 23.
Okay.
Spent my first few years out of high school trying different career paths, figuring out what I wanted to do. Eventually, I decided that I wanted to be outside a good bit, wanted to do something kind of in the STEM area with science and stuff like that, and forestry was just the perfect fit for me. So
Sounds like
that's how I ended up down here in Monticello.
And now, what is your focus of your major?
It's forestry, just in a broad sense, but I've had a few internships, and I'm kind of leaning into the industry side of it. I've done some internships with Green Bay Packaging.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, as a forester who's graduated and is going out into the private sector, what type of jobs are you looking for in that sector?
Really, I mean, any job, but
Okay.
mostly focused on working for a private company right now.
Like buying and selling timber, that kind of thing? Or?
The job that I would probably get would be managing timberland for
Oh,
a
yeah.
company. So
Yeah.
everything from planting and raising trees to overseeing the harvests of them and making sure that wood gets to the mills.
Awesome. Yeah, very important, very important. You know, I can't stress enough how vital forestry is to our region here in southeast Arkansas. You know, it's incredibly vital. I think that's one of the reasons that we are the premier forestry school here, because it's so important to this area. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, it also makes us have one of the largest campuses because there's so much land involved with the University of Arkansas. But I'm sure some of it has to do with forestry. But you're going to get something that I guess y'all aren't going to get. You're going to get to really enjoy the new building that's going up, because you've still got a whole nother year that you're going to be out here at UAM. And Laura was on here earlier talking about some of the stuff that it's going to bring and opportunities and advancements. And we're all looking forward to seeing students get to enjoy it for sure, and have a little bit more area for research and what have you. Now tell us what you're going to be competing in the conclave.
So I'll be competing in men's bow saw, log rolling, and wood identification.
Wood identification, okay. And now, I talked a little bit earlier while Laura was here about the conclave and how what our forestry club members are going to be representing. They're going to be representing the entire state of Arkansas, competing against other states and other schools from all across the South. It's going to be a big deal, and there's going to be a lot going on. Just some of the stuff we've talked about here: crosscut saw, log burling, but there's more activities. There's more competitions. I know some I mentioned earlier, just off my memory, was the chain throw and overhead chop. The log burling, is that where you run on the log? Okay, and it's
sitting in the water.
In the water.
Yep.
And,
There's
yeah.
two people on top, and then they try to knock the other person off.
And axe throw. I used to have some friends that would throw a double bit axe.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there's going to be a lot of interesting things going on, stuff you don't see day in and day out. So it's definitely be something that you don't want to miss. You want to get out there to Conclave and see it. There's even going to be some people climbing trees. Did they still do that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Pole climb.
so if you want to see some folks pole climbing, throwing axes, cross-cut sawing, burling, all the fun stuff Laura talked about that's going to be happening on Saturday, be sure to be out there to check it out. And if you're interested in possibly being a forester yourself and wanting to be a part of the Forestry Club, and come to the University of Arkansas and take advantage of all the amazing facilities and opportunities that exist there, this is an event you definitely want to check out. It might just change your life. We've got two guys here that went several different paths, and they came back to forestry. They came back to UAM, and it's definitely a great path for anybody to go. Even if you come straight out of Hope, Arkansas, and decide you want to go there, also a great opportunity as well. I'd like to thank all y'all for being here.
Thank you, sir.
It's wonderful to be here.
Appreciate it.
It's going to be a great episode. I know our listeners are really going to enjoy hearing a little bit about you and the big competition coming up, as well as our amazing forestry program out at UAM. Wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
We have a definite treat today on Monticello Minute Unscripted because I'm being joined by a friend of mine, Gwen Robinson. Welcome to the show, Gwen.
Thank you.
Now, Gwen's here to talk about some very important stuff. But before we get into all that, for our viewers at home, would you mind telling them a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am a registered nurse. I work for the Arkansas Department of Health, and I've been a nurse for 21 years. And I've lived in Monticello for about 27 years now. Married to Marce Robinson, who is a firefighter. And we have 2 children, and Hayden and his wife, Grace Ann, and then my daughter, Addison, and then the love and pride of our family thus far is Sutton, my granddaughter.
Of course, of course. And you know, we started out with you've been here for 27 years, but you're another great story that we hear so many times about folks coming to UAM.
Right.
And staying, because Monticello just turns out to be the town they want to stay in and build a life in. And you and I have been friends a long time, and I know you came to UAM and you were, I believe, on the inaugural UAM Cotton Blossom softball team.
Yes, I was on the very first team before Coach Early took over and made it a powerhouse of the South for us.
Didn't even have a field when
No,
she got here.
no.
They had to build the field. So that tells you what kind of legend Gwen Robinson is. Of course, she still plays softball. We play summer league softball together. And playing sports and being active is something that's been a part of your life, your entire life.
Right, right. Staying active for as long as you can is one of the healthiest things you can do. I mean, if you're not playing sports, if you're just getting out and walking, riding a bike, just staying active, it just keeps you young.
Well, being an RN, I'm sure you could sit here and tell so many stories. We run out of film, trying to film them all.
Oh, yeah. The public would not want to hear all of them.
But I'm sure I've heard a bunch of them, and there's some I wish I hadn't heard. But I will say this, what we got you here today is to talk about something that's extremely important, and that is CPR.
Right.
And understanding CPR. Now, you work through the American Heart Association, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
As a CPR instructor. And if you would, I see you got a couple friends that you've brought in with you today.
Yes, I brought in the baby and the adult. And, we... And
I'm glad you did that, because a lot of people, myself included, didn't understand until I started visiting with you about it a little more often, that you can't just do the same CPR on every person. You got to do it a little bit different on babies than you do adults.
Yes and no.
Okay.
They have changed a lot of it. Back when I first took CPR, won't say how long that was, but there were 3 different breaths to compression ratios.
Okay.
And the order was different. But as CPR has improved, they work on it every 5 years and go back and look at the statistics of survival. And they make any necessary changes along the way.
To try to improve.
Right.
Improve upon the technique.
Right. Increase survival rates.
Well, let's start with the basics.
Okay.
CPR. What does that stand for?
Cardiopulmonary resuscitation.
Okay. And obviously that's why it's linked to the American Heart Association, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to get that heart back pumping.
Right. I mean, you are the acting lungs and heart for the person when the heart's not beating correctly.
Well, that's awesome. So kind of give us a scenario. You've got a baby sitting on your knee there. Say that baby quits breathing or has some type of cardiac episode or what? Give me just a few quick steps that could save that baby's life.
Well, a lot of people, they freak out immediately.
Oh, of course.
So, as calm as you can, you want to assess and make sure that the baby is not just holding their breath and being stubborn. And I always recommend using more of your senses. Okay, people just look, and I said you may be shaking or whatnot. You want to put the baby on a firm surface. Okay, look, listen, and feel. So the baby would be on a hard surface. You're going to put your ear down by their nose, your cheek above their mouth, and then you're going to look down their chest.
Okay.
So look, listen, and feel.
So you're looking to see if the chest is moving.
You're looking for...
You're listening to hear if there's breathing going on.
Right, and then you're feeling with your cheek.
For a heartbeat or for lung movement?
For air.
For air, okay.
Instead of, the old school way of getting a mirror and trying to put down there to see a breath, you're just going to use those three senses. And, babies, I mean, when they're small, they can't say, hey, I'm having trouble.
Exactly.
So,
and the first thing you said is so important, and I think it might have been understated. You said you have to stay calm.
Right.
When you're the person who's performing the CPR and you're trying to assess the situation, you've got to have a cool head. You've got to be calm, because if you don't have a cool head and you're not calm, you can't help.
Right. I mean, and a lot of times, that can cause an adverse reaction for that person who then may have a panic attack or their own heart episode. But yeah, you want to assess real quickly. If you don't see that chest rising, you don't have to be a trained medical professional to know that somebody's not breathing.
Gotcha.
Okay. So, if you're in different settings, you just know that they're not breathing, they're going to need help.
Mm-hmm. Of course, without getting too technical, the technique that you teach and other instructors teach is, once you've assessed a situation, how to properly apply the correct amount of pressure.
Right. And
how to do it in the correct intervals to where it's most likely to restart the system.
Well, you want to look for landmarks. With babies and children and adults, the sternum is where you're going to put your hand or your thumbs or both hands. Okay, that sternum is where you want to apply that pressure so that you're able to press the chest cavity down far enough to act as a pump.
Gotcha.
And you're going to compress it at least 1/3 the depth of that torso. Mm-hmm. Everybody gets so hung up on 1.5 to 2 inches, 2.5 to 3 inches. You just need to know that when you are doing compressions correctly, that the skin color should look normal.
Okay.
Because, if you hold your breath long enough or somebody is not oxygenating,
turning blue.
They're going to turn blue, gray. And so when you start those compressions, you should see a normal
skin color
come back.
Yeah. And that's a great point. You don't have to take an anatomy class to understand how to do this. You look at the landscape of the body. I can't remember the exact term you used, but to kind of feel where that sternum is.
Right.
If you can figure out where that sternum is, that's where you start applying pressure, and then you just look, listen, and feel for some color coming back. Obviously, listen to see if there's any airflow, and it kind of goes from there. But the main thing is remaining calm.
Right. And I mean, with babies, you're going to use your thumbs, okay, because their sternum is small.
Gotcha.
Children, you can use one hand. And then the adults is where you'll stack your hands,
Gotcha.
just because they tend to be a little more tough.
Well, let's move on to the adult over
Okay.
here. Do you have a name? Do you have a name for this guy? Or?
Well, every class gets the name,
Okay.
the dummies.
So they just get a name from the class. I like that.
Right.
A little bit of a personal aspect to it.
So, I'll unzip the clothes so you could see. Old school methods, they tell you to find the xiphoid process, right? And
Is that where
then
the rib cages come together there?
that is that tip where the rib cages come together, and it's a little point like an arrowhead.
Gotcha.
There. Okay. And you want to go about 3 fingers above that.
Okay.
Okay. And if you can't,
And if
feel for that.
if somebody's laying flat on their back and they're not breathing, that should be pretty visible.
oh yeah, and it doesn't matter if they're male or female. You just aim for the center of the chest.
Gotcha.
You should feel something hard under your palm. Okay. And for adults, children or infants, those compressions are going to be 30 compressions to 2 breaths.
Okay, 30 compressions.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So
And it's not one Mississippi.
okay.
Okay. Those compressions need to be delivered at a rate of 100 to 120 beats per minute.
So rapidly.
Yes, hard and fast. So, you're going to do 1.5 to 2 compressions every second.
Wow, I didn't realize that. And you don't realize how fast that is. And is that something that's changed over time?
It has.
It's more studies and more science has been applied and more experience that says if we're going to get this heart back going, we got to do it rapidly.
Right.
I see.
And then, breathing is necessary, but it's secondary to the pump.
That's right. Heart's
Okay.
got to pump. Yeah.
As long as there's nothing blocking that airway, when you're doing those compressions, a little bit of air is still going to be inhaled so that it's going into the lungs. The main thing is to circulate it through the body.
And if you've never been on American Heart Association website, it's something you need to visit and just work your way through. Because I would bet that the majority of people understand the heart pumps blood, but they don't understand how it is tied into every other organ and makes every other organ work. So you talk about the lungs. The lungs are important. You got to have the lungs. But the heart, without the heart, the lungs are useless.
Right.
The heart's got to be pumping the blood through the lungs.
And if the brain doesn't get oxygen,
Then
neither is
exactly.
any good.
Exactly. So a lot of useful information. Now, obviously, we're not going to ask you to give a class right here on the episode. So tell me a little bit about, obviously, if somebody was to get on the American Heart Association website and they were to look to get into a class, tell me what they would be expected. Is this something they can do in an afternoon, or is this something that takes multiple days? Is it?
They've made it a lot easier than it used to be.
Okay.
You can take blended classes, and in some places you can take online classes.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
But through the website, you can look for classes through the search bar, find one local, or find one online, and then they can point you to local instructors to do your hands-on checkoff.
And that's something you can do on a Saturday.
Yeah.
So you can train yourself to save someone's life in an afternoon.
Right.
I think that's well worth the time. Thank you for coming on, Gwen.
I appreciate
I
it.
appreciate you being here with us. We're excited here at Monticello Minute Unscripted to have our sponsors, Monticello Chevrolet GMC, Arkansas Superior Federal Credit Union, and the Woods, a Nightingale community. We thank them for their support and for making this broadcast possible.